Hello, Globebusters. Yes, of course they're serious. You do? You have? No kidding. Uh-huh. Oh, they'll cure your globitis this week. Thank you. We got one!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Globebusters.
What are you supposed to be, some kind of a cosmonaut?
No, we're exterminators.
And now, here's your host.
And welcome everybody to Globebusters, Understanding Our Skies. I'm your host, Bob Xanadude60, and we are back for another Sunday show for you today. And we got a few interesting things to talk about, and a few maybe not so interesting things to talk about, but you know how it is. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. So we have quite a large panel with us today. So we're going to be, kind of looking at a lot of different things, especially some of the things that, when I titled the show Understanding Our Skies, the arguments we all get, when people say, oh, you guys don't even have a map and you can't explain how your eclipses work or anything like that. And, one thing that really bugs me about that is neither can the Globers. I mean, they don't have a map. The eclipses are all wrong. Mathematically, they can make them look okay, but they are not logical by any means whatsoever. And so
especially they don't have a life.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you. So anyway, we're gonna go through that stuff and talk about that today. And so let me go ahead and introduce the panel. And first up, as always, is Jeran from Jeranism. Hey, Jeran. You are muted.
What else is new? What's up, Bob? How are you?
Well, I'm unmuted.
Me too. So at least now we're good. Doing great. Fantastic. I got a couple things to show today and happy to be here. Thanks everybody in the chat for saying hello.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay. And next up we have from Witsit Gets It, Mr. Austin Witsit. How you doing today, Austin?
Doing great. Another beautiful day on the stationary plane. How about yourself?
It's pretty nice down here too. It's a little bit cloudy, but spring is on its way, and spring is absolutely gorgeous here in South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's like the life comes back.
Yes, it does. It does, and our backyard just turns into this forest. It's so freaking beautiful. I mean, I that's the best thing about this house is our backyard with the river running through it. I just love it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yep. Okay. And next up, we have Mr. Iru Landucci from Nur Paradodos. How you doing today, Iru?
Very good. How you doing, Bob? And hello, everyone in the chat. I really like your pronunciation. It was getting better. It's getting better every Sunday.
The Nur Paradodos?
And no Paradodos, exactly. Yeah.
It's getting worse every Sunday. Let's be honest.
Yes, of course. It's a typical for us. It's a typical junkie trying to talk Spanish.
What do you call them? Junkies?
No junkies. No junkies. In the Spanish community, we call the people in North America Yankees.
Oh, Yankees. Okay.
Yeah. Because my pronunciation is the same as you in Spanish, but in English. So we are in balance.
Okay.
So hello everyone.
There you go, junkie. That's great. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I know that maybe a few words, a few sound vibration can change the really the deep significance of the phrase. So sorry for that. But maybe you were a junkie in your, young times, your young times.
Well, I think we've all had our recreational times of our life at some point. So, wouldn't surprise
You
me.
got a
I
flat
wouldn't say junkie though. So, all right. So next up we have Mr. Zachary Zabala from Good Times for All. How you doing, Zach?
Hey, Bob. Hey, everybody. Yeah, doing good. Like you said, warming up around this area. I love springtime. Best time of year. But no, just learning to play with Stellarium. I'm finally figuring out how I can move my location and this and that to see what they show with this whole sun moon rotation thing. And I think I'm pretty right on. When I go to the North Pole and South Pole, there's no rotation really, and then as you move out, but the South is exactly the same as the North. So, according to Stellarium, we're living on the globe. But if these measurements, it'll be next Friday, the 5th. I'm excited. It's been a while since I've been excited about taking measurements. So yeah, we'll know then for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, that's come up. And I don't know, Jeran. I know Jeran's played a lot with Stellarium. Probably a few other people have too. But I don't know if you can get the actual rotation of the moon at certain times of the day or not, if it goes that far. But possibly.
Yeah, it does. It shows it. But when you get to the southern hemisphere, it goes back to zero. When you go to the South Pole, there's no rotation again. So they're showing it as it would be on a globe, which kind of confirms my theory that on the globe you should see the exact opposite, north to south. But in reality, we're going to see if that's what we actually see. And if that is what we actually see, then I have zero clue what's going on up above our heads. Just zero. I'll just put it at zero, starting over. Yeah.
Yes.
So this would be interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that, Jeran?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying that's good. That's awesome. I like those kind of experiments or something that we can really get some definitive answers from. Even if they're answers that aren't what we expect, it's still good to get those answers.
Yeah, that's true. And there are times when we will anticipate something and it will be wrong. And if it is, so be it. Doesn't necessarily mean automatically it proves a globe. Of course, if you're a glober, that's the conclusion you're going to make. Oh my God, the flat earthers said this would happen, and since it didn't, the dumb idiots think it's a globe. And it's like, no, we're just simply going through the evidence, weighing the evidence, and trying to figure out what is going on up there, because the sky is one of the biggest mysteries of all. I mean, there is no doubt about that. Even for the mainstream, long before I ever got into flat Earth, one of the things that I studied that I thought was really interesting was the orbital motions of the Earth. And it turns out that there's university after university after university that have done studies on the moon's motions, and they cannot figure it out. They cannot place it into any model. They simply cannot explain why it behaves the way that it does. Which means that, well, obviously, I would say that it's probably something very different than we think it is. That would probably be a good place to start. But unfortunately, they're bound to that, model of something being terra firma up there. We hold to the possibility that, it could be terra firma. It could be some sort of a plasma type projection or whatever. We're just trying to figure out what it is. So, that's kind of the way that the flat earthers want to approach it, I think, in difference to the globe earthers. So we'll just keep going with that. And, we're not going to get them all right, and we absolutely won't. And if we don't, so be it. But it just adds that much more to our knowledge base of what we do know about what's going on up there. So there
Bob,
you have it.
You want me to start out by showing you who does get it right all the time?
Oh, sure.
Let me bring this up 1 second, and I will show you. So last night I was on Twitter, I think is where I started to see this. Let me get here. And basically there's a post find it here. There's a post from a person that, or Snopes. Snopes made this post about a picture of the moons of Jupiter. And I don't know how to use Twitter. Where's my main screen? Here. So what they basically did is they have this picture, and first there's some people talking about it on Reddit asking if it was a real picture. So Snopes goes and asks the creator of the actual whatever you want to call that image or graphic so I went kind of searching it out to see what he said, and then of course he says specifically, let me bring up this share screen, and where is the Skype screen? I do not like this new Skype.
I know. I wish they'd quit changing it every 5 freaking seconds.
Okay, Tommy, you can see my main screen, yeah?
We do, and you are presenting.
Okay, so here's your image. Check this out first. So this is the video, and it's just laughable. It's hilarious, like these 2 moons going by.
Sorry.
So there was a post on Reddit of somebody saying, hey, look at this very cool picture of these moons. And then, so you go to Snopes, and you'll see here, get out of here. This is Snopes, the arbiter of truth. I mean, they know all things, so we just need to go here. And it says, does this time-lapse video show Europa and Io orbiting Jupiter? And they say, we went to this guy, Kevin Gill. And what is the claim? The claim is it's a time-lapse video that shows the moons, and it says the rating is true. So I said, what? This guy actually said that that's an actual image. So I go look at his Twitter, and I finally find the place where he's talking about it. And when you scroll down, he keeps saying it over and over again, too. It's rather funny. He says, I was portraying the spacecraft movement, but the animation isn't meant to be wholly accurate. So the creator of the picture has said publicly that he was trying to do something and that the animation isn't meant to be accurate. And according to Snopes, that means that it is true.
Oh, my God.
So, we're living in a world now where there is no more truth. There is no more evidence. People go off of feelings, and the feeling feels good when the moons of Jupiter are seen, I guess. And so people just default to, even when the creator says, no, it's not, and it says it's a time-lapse video. That's weird that the creator of it calls it a animation, and it's not meant to be accurate. How is something that's real not meant to be wholly accurate? Why wouldn't you just show us the real video? So,
dude, that's so crazy you brought that up, because I just saw this, and Kai and I laughed so hard that I had to screen record it. I had to screen record it. It's so bad, and
it's dying. They'll never even change it. And the guy comes in and, hey, can we talk about try to find the original post. But I mean, it's just, this is so disgusting. And I've heard Snopes to come and ask him in that thread, and then him say, no, I was trying to go for this. I wanted to make it look like this. He actually even says in another part of that thread that all the clouds are simulated, and they wrote that it's true. So I don't know what kind of fact checking we're looking for when somebody asks, hey, is this a real image? And the guy says, nah, in the animation, I didn't really mean to be wholly accurate. And they're like, yep, true. So this is the kind of, don't ever trust these fact checkers. They are basically whatever the left says is true, and whatever anybody else says is false, and that's just the way it is. So pretty sad that they would claim that to be true.
Can I share my screen a little bit?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, Euro.
Okay.
Real
No,
quick,
but because
didn't the Google fact checkers have to just admit that their fact checkers are opinion?
Yes.
And not actual facts?
Yep.
I could have swore I just saw an article on that.
Yeah. That was a defense in court.
Wow.
They're canceling people's accounts based on their freaking opinion?
Yep.
That's correct.
What a bunch of dicks. Oh my God.
And feelings.
That's horrible.
I can't wait. I'm going to have to write into Snopes. Here's an article about how they get their answers. What does it say? To go to the source, and when they say it's fake, say, no, it's real. I mean, what does that guy say about it? You go to him and you ask him, hey, is this real? And he's like, I didn't mean to, it's not meant to be wholly accurate. And the animation is this. And then they're like, okay, thanks. We'll go right to this real.
Well, that's called desperation, Jeran. And this is exactly where the ballers are. I mean,
it's disgusting.
Anybody that follows this entire flat earth, ball earth debate has got to be going, oh my God, if they're being intellectually honest, you sit there and the flat earthers are coming up with all these excellent points, and we've backed the ballers into the corner of saying, well, there is no geometrical horizon, right? It used to be, well, that's what blocked everything, right? There is no geometrical horizon.
There's no curve. Okay.
No curve. No, and flat is curved now.
Yep.
It just, oh my God, a flat earther detected the rotation of the Earth.
Right.
It's like, it's so
Here's this guy right
pathetic.
here. Do I still have my share screen up or no?
I think Euro does.
Oh, you're just
No,
anyway.
but no. If you want to, I can stop and share
Give
later.
it back. Give it back for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Give back to me.
Okay.
Yeah. I give you power, man. I give
Bro,
you.
give it back.
Give it back. Come on. All right. So now you see it. Yes, this.
You
But
got
it's
it.
like things like this guy. These people are just losing their mind on Twitter. You know, this guy. Look, man. After you prove the Earth was round on Netflix, it's just hilarious to me that these guys now call movies proof. And I want to show you this guy fall apart. That I made a statement or something about the fact that there's no boats that go in the south, right? There's no tanker ships like this one. I don't understand how to use Twitter. I can never find the original. Yeah, so this guy here, he says he keeps saying that he found one. He keeps linking me to these because I told him there's no boats. Go find me one then if there's a boat. And he keeps linking me to these different sites, and the sites are always here's this guy. He's like just over 7,500 miles in less than 44 days. Jump aboard, Jizz. So he thinks he found one, but you give him he gives you the link and you go follow it. And how do I get out of here? Eventually just block the person because they just lie. They just lie through everything they're doing. And I'll show you where he lies even worse, where he'll ask for one thing, right? He asked me for, or I told him, hey, we can't go from Australia or New Zealand to South America. There's no ships, there's no container ships, and there's no cruise ships. Why is that? And then he says, oh, I can find one. It's super easy. I'll find one. Any person could find it if they just go look. And I was like, tell him, why don't you look it up? Why don't you go do it? And he says, here, find me where's he at? Oh, I saw a video on Jetstream. I saw your video on Jetstream. So you believe that they or them are lying about the distance from Sydney to Santiago. It is really just under 11,000 miles by air, but 7,000 by sea because ships don't use jet streams. You call others dumb. Just the dumbest statement ever. I said,
Oh, Jesus.
find me a ship that goes from Sydney to Santiago. That's it. Oops. See what happens when you cuck and you can't think for yourself anymore. And he says, it really shouldn't be that hard. Find me a flat earther that can navigate it. How did the flat earthers get the Nikon P900s from Asia? That has nothing to do with what I said. I said, find me a boat from Sydney to Santiago. I don't think they get their P900s from Sydney or Santiago. So anyway, he keeps going on and on. Then he says he found this boat, and you can go to this cargo router to where he thinks he found it. So I'm here, and I'm looking around. Here's one, Santiago to San Antonio. I click that. It says the care person does not have any route information. So he's like not even sending me to a place where I can actually get a boat. So I said, yeah, there's no boats that go down there. I'm trying to tell you, honestly, bro, there's not any boats. And he comes back with this one, just over 7,500 miles in less than 44 days. I don't know where he got this number, but right away, I went and did the math on that. And if a boat goes 44 days, and remember, these boats are tankers, they can go 24 hours a day. It's not like the captain of the ship takes a nap and the boat sits out in the water, right? There's multiple captains, it goes. So I looked it up, and the max speed is 26 miles per hour. So I took this 7,500 divided by the amount of hours in 44 days, and the speed comes back at 7 miles per hour. So either the boat is doing 7 miles per hour, or if we double that speed and say the boat's doing 15 miles per hour, which is what it says it does in terrible weather, 15 miles per hour would double the distance, meaning it could go 15,000 miles in 44 days. So this is what they don't realize, is that all of the stuff is in our favor, and they just keep hanging themselves over and over again. Now, when I finally pointed this out, that there's no boat still that goes, because even this boat that he's pointing out, I don't know where he's getting this information from. I don't see it anywhere. But it's just funny that they can never admit defeat, ever. They'll just change the subject, move the goalposts, call you names, and it's like, it's just painfully obvious.
And accuse you of exactly what they're doing. You know,
absolutely.
Projecting.
Yeah, projection is rampant in the Glovers.
It's unbelievable.
It's like they don't have and you find that guy and you're like, he's so obsessed with flat Earth. If you find his, I'm blocking for a second. If you find his main page, all he does, here we go. Jeran blocked me. Oh, he must be a coward. I mean, I could have called that. I just called it. It's right there. This is what they always say. No, it's because we're tired of your lies. Why would I continue to listen to your lies every day? But if you watch this guy's page, all he does is sit there and call out flat Earth like every day for the last 2 years. It's like, what kind of life is that? What has happened in your life? Like
that is no life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is what it really is, though, bro. This is him fighting the truth. Yep. That's why he's become infatuated with it. It's not actually. I don't think it's not actually even that lame of a person that he has no life whatsoever. He's infatuated with it.
Yeah, it's bugging because I think it's these people that were former religious people who became staunch atheists, and now they're anti-religion in every way. So they think flat Earth, and they will take anything from the science side to make God not true. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what nonsense. It's space-time. It's a bending of space-time. It's trillions of miles. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just somebody smart who has a degree. Please give me a way that I don't have to believe in God. That's all that they want. And so anybody like me coming around is bringing that up again. So it's bugging them, because if they don't get rid of me, then they're going to keep hearing me in their ears, nagging them about there is a creator. So they can't have that. So they have to just attack you. Hopefully you go away, because then it helps them live in their lies.
And you actually don't even have to tell them that it means that there's a creator or anything, because they know it. Like they'll think, "Oh, you're telling me that we're the one thing different than everything in the sky."
Right.
Which of course, not even everything in your sky is claimed to be the same. But yes, that's right. Exactly. Like the Earth is the Earth, bro, and everything in the sky is in the sky above the Earth. And to them, that immediately shifts the viable worldview over to design, and so they can't even. They'll say you're arrogant for making any type of assumption like that, right?
And they like get off on the fact that you block them, because that means you're a coward. It's so funny. It's like, if I was trying to have a conversation with somebody, I would not be excited like, aha, this person blocked me, I win. Like, no, that means you were so annoying that the person couldn't talk to you anymore. Like plus
they get to go out and brag it. Yeah, look, whole world, they couldn't stand debating with me, so they had to chicken out and block. Now I get so tired of seeing that, because I get that crap all day long in the comments, and I just delete them. And I've never had any compunctions about doing that, because these people simply are not worth wasting the time. They really aren't.
No, they're really not. But they'll. It's so funny too. They think you have no life. Like somebody will show up in Twitter and ask me a question, and it'll be like 3 days later, and I'll answer, and then I'll go away for a couple of days. I don't have my Twitter on notify me. I don't want to get your notifications, and there'll be like 55 tweets. What's up, coward? It's been 12 hours. You haven't got your answer yet? You're like, no, I didn't even look at Twitter for 3 days. I have a life.
Again, it's just because, dude, it's because they're actually infatuated with it, because in their inner being, they actually know it's the truth. They start to feel the resonance of the truth, and so they become infatuated with it. But while cognitively in denial, then they do all this crazy nonsense. They act like psychopaths. They have no logic, because while they're really there, they're lying about why they're infatuated with it. You know what I'm saying? So they just kind of try to use us as to fight their own cognitus. They look at us as that other belief or other truth that they can't hold, and they try to beat us up and convince themselves the other part of it is true. So I don't know. Like in a way, I'm starting to learn that. Like the reason these people are so infatuated with it, like the Globe Zealots, they actually they really know. They just can't wrap they're beating themselves up until death, right? So I don't know. I think
they'll do anything to make sure it's not the case. I mean, they'll lie about it. They'll do anything, any step that they need to take because flat Earth can't be true. And here's the reason why, because I don't know if you guys heard my show I did where I went off on these two guys who did this podcast the other day, but they were just horrendous. Their debunkings of the flat Earth were ridiculous. They thought we went upwards in space. They thought we were rising, all this nonsense but all that they have is just what people told them. And it's even becoming more obvious to me every day. It's like, I don't understand what those people's purpose is anyway. Like when you have two guys that believe in science, you know their opinions, because their opinions aren't even theirs. They've never measured distances to planets. They don't know any of that. All that's been given to them. And that's what they think they're smart. So they just repeat it. But then that means that everybody who believes in science really is kind of a waste of space, at least the scientism part, because we know what they believe, right? I don't need to have a sit down conversation with Red's Rhetoric to know what he believes. I don't need to talk to Simon Dan to know what he believes. But I do need to talk to Iru, and I do need to talk to Austin and you guys. I need to talk to you to know what you believe, because we all have very different opinions and very different ideas. And that's awesome to me. Now, those guys think that how dare you have a different opinion? This is why if I say something and I call somebody a fag or something, then they'll all jump on the case and be like, homophobe, because they all are in that belief that that's okay. Science has accepted it. Bill Nye has changed his views now. He's a cisgender male, whatever's going on. So you already know their opinion of that. There's nobody standing up and being like, nah, I could see that. I think it's better that a man and a woman raise a child. You don't see that. Because there's nobody on that side that believes that, because their beliefs are not their own. So
right, like, dude, let me give you sorry, just to give an example of that. Like on meteor showers, we see them coming up from the horizon if the Earth's a spinning ball, just objectively. So I Google it. There's no answer. I know the best answers they have. I go into a room of credentialed globe zealots, ask the question, and have to watch them slowly go through the just scour Google and believe it. And I know I already, like you said, actually going in that room was useless because I knew what their final stance would be. It's whatever grasp at straws they read on Google that they can rock with. So it's crazy because there's no answer to that. In a meteor shower, they should come up from the horizon. We would see them come up from the horizon. Never happened.
Did you see the video that guy put out explaining what meteors and comets are? Oh man, I thought it was really good. Let me find it for you. So I think it's the guy who has a flat Earth. I forget his name now. What his channel name is? I can kind of tell by his voice, but I saw it on Telegram, and I think it's the first time I was watching it, and I said, I'm convinced. And it's one thing I've always kind of avoided because I don't know. It just was nobody gave any answers that I kind of agreed with. And when he showed this, so have you guys ever seen those steel balls that come out of the sky that they find on the ground places?
Yeah, they're weird looking.
Yes.
Yeah, so he found one and they're wrapped in a coil like a cigarette lighter. So think about when you push your cigarette lighter into the car and you take it out and it's got those coils and it retains that heat. So it's got the red coils. So he showed that those things that they've been finding are just coiled up wire. And then they've got like an escape valve in the back. And so basically they're filling them with some sort of whatever, some sort of liquid fuel or whatever, and then launching them probably. And that's what we see as meteors. I thought what he said was perfect because I've always wondered, it just doesn't jive with me, right? If you believe in a dome, how do they get here? Even if you don't believe in a dome, how do they get here? If you don't believe in space, how do they get here? That's always been a tough one. And I'm trying to find it here in my saved messages. Oh no, it's on my phone.
Wow,
Right.
that makes sense actually.
Yeah, that's a trip, dude. I want to see that for real. But you do agree that there are some like what people call comets and meteors that are just reoccurring in the sky?
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I'm not giving them credit for anything like that anymore because I've never seen it. I've never. Oh, you mean like the Perseids and things like that?
Yeah, like infamous reoccurring meteors and comets.
Yeah, that I do think you can't really get around that. But those are more
They
like.
all come from like the same 6 areas in the sky.
Yeah.
They all come from certain areas. It's just like a system. It's literally nothing to do with a ball. They say we're simultaneously going through the tails of comets. That's a cool story.
Yeah, it's the tails. It's not okay. Let me get this.
Well, because they do. I mean, the comets. When you watch meteor showers, they have a very distinct sound to them, and it's a crackly sound.
Sure.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense to me. It really does.
Let me show you this. I just got to move it over to Telegram. Yes, he does a good job there. I think a lot of people are starting to use TikTok, and they're getting a lot of views. So I don't know if anybody. It's not really my cup of tea. But if anybody is looking for some way to get the word out, it looks like TikTok has really taken off.
Yeah, TikTok,
I
for whatever reason.
TikTok. You got to, bro. You got to beat them on their territory.
I got to get over there.
Yeah, Facebook, for some reason. Have you guys noticed that, a lot of people will have TikTok feeds and they'll, on their little feeds, and they can have all this stuff talking about all the stuff that they would normally ban. Yeah. But when they let it stream through TikTok, they let it run and they let it stay up. So I don't know what's up with that.
That's crazy. They will eventually come get you, right? Like even Owen Benjamin slipped through cracks. He slips through the cracks on TikTok, but then they go get him. But he'll get 400,000 views first. So
Yeah.
like, that's always a good litmus test. Like if Owen Benjamin is able to get anywhere close to 500,000 views, then he was left alone for a while. So it is kind of the move. And the mainstream pushes it. Conservatives rocking with Fox News. It's China's way to get all of our children. Like, maybe they're just allowed to talk over there.
Yep, that's true. Ira, Jeran, were you done? Are we ready for Ira?
No, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you these
videos.
Okay.
Real quick.
But can you still see my screen, or what screen is it?
Yep, we still have your screen.
I'm going to move this over.
It's the tweet screen.
This one here
with Jason Folks. That name was familiar. So I looked on my Facebook and I blocked that guy about 3 months ago.
Oh yeah, because he would. I'm sure.
Yeah,
because we're just
a loser.
Here's the other thing too: is have you noticed that these guys always call you a grifter, and it's hilarious because it's like if it's your job, it's not grifting, and it's like these guys can't do anything but they probably don't even work. They're probably collecting unemployment, but because you are actually doing something on your own and trying to make money doing crypto consultations or whatever it might be, they have to call it grifting. It's like, what do you mean working providing a service to people for money, that's grifting.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense.
And people make money with some of the most unbelievably stupid services you could ever imagine. So,
dude, so many people make money on YouTube. Like, you can make money because you tried a bunch of different foods together. You just reacted to someone else's creativity, and they get millions and millions. Like, what are they talking about?
I know, it's unbelievable. It's unreal. It really is. What people just buy crap these days. They, nothing. They don't want to have to ever think about anything. And another thing is like, I think when these guys go out looking for proof, like when the guy was looking for the Sydney to Santiago, right? He found a headline that could potentially have met his goal of what he was trying to tell you, but then he stopped there and didn't go any further because he obviously didn't want to see it fail.
That, or they just assume that it must be there, right? Because it doesn't. I mean, that would be shocking if you found out. Wait, there's no cruise ships, there's no container ships, there's no undersea cables. Because I was talking about on my show the other night. I really think as a flat Earth group, if we could come up with like the top 5 things that we should hold to the fire, and what I mean by that is that one of those is like a half-hour interview with an ISS astronaut, right? So that at the end of each of my videos, I can say like, and we still are waiting on the 5 things. There's still no boats that go in the south. There's still no astronaut that'll debate us. There's still, and then if everybody did that, and we kind of keep putting pressure on NASA to actually make a move, because it's ridiculous that their excuse why they won't talk to us is because it gives it credence. No, it doesn't. Not when you debunk something. Sorry, when you debunk something, it doesn't give it credence at all. It doesn't give it any validity. So if you debunk it, then you're not giving it validity. If you get on the TV and you can't debunk it, then you're right. So for them to admit out front, we can't talk to them because if we do, it gives it validity. Well, only if you can't debate it. That's right. The only thing.
And the thing is they will never, ever put up a
magnitude 5.0.
What's that?
What is that? Oh, I have an earthquake page up. I'll find it and shut it off.
Dude, Jared, the way that would really work, right, is if you sell it like to get the Globers involved. Like, flat Earth is so stupid, right? Well, then, like, there are fundamental things we can do to just shut the stupidity of flat Earth down definitively. It will be so embarrassing for them if you can get the Globers to support that, right? Like, even funding-wise.
They'll never stand behind you because they'll always give the excuse. Like, I tried to tell them, let's get behind it and let's get them to put a camera on the moon showing the Earth. It's a no-brainer. It's the dumbest thing in the world. It would have been done 50 years ago. It would be the #1 most viewed website on the internet. It would be there every day, always showing the Earth. And the fact that they don't do it tells you something, right? So when I try and bring that up to Globers, they're like, they have better things to do than put cameras on the moon. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, not the zealots. I mean, the people, the average person that just thinks we're flat Earth. Yeah, but like, because they'd be like, well, my son does keep saying the Earth's flat, and it's really getting on my nerves because they won't really look into it, boomer syndrome or whatever. So like, they would even be like, yeah, look, like, let's prove them wrong. You see what I'm saying? If you can get them, because then you're going to get numbers. If you can get them to agree to, if you can sell it like it is to shut up the stupidity of flat Earth definitively, then they would.
And I've been trying to ask myself, what is the thing that could be done that I would admit that my belief is wrong? So, thinking about it, the hard part is I think I'd have to be a part of whatever it is. Like I've always said, if I was the one interviewing the astronauts on the ISS, I would have a half-hour interview where I would ask them, take a broom and put it above your head, put it underneath your feet, put it on your sides, kind of making sure there's no wires and go from there. But I think by the end of the half hour, if they did it, I would be like, wow, maybe they are up there. Now I know that they would never do it, period. So that's one problem there. But the other thing is with the southern boats, I know that no boat can get extra speed beyond much, right? So like a cruise ship or a tanker ship, if it says it goes 26, you're not going to get it going 40, right? If its max speed is 26, it's just not going to go 40. Even if it did, that's not enough time to get from New Zealand to South America. And if you can do New Zealand to South America in what would take 6,000 miles, I would have to really question my belief because on a flat Earth, that's very difficult to have those two locations that close to each other. It doesn't really jive with me that it would be exactly what the globe calls for. Now, one thing I also noticed when I was researching this week is I kept saying, look, if my belief about this is right, then it means all mileage is wrong. And I said, so there has to be reports of discrepancies in mileage. So I just typed in discrepancies in mileage. All this shit comes up. Every person who rides a bike, every person who hikes in trails, everybody, they all say their GPS is off. It's always off by 10 to 15% on my, and I'm like, there's the answer. There's the answer. That their miles are off. So anybody just says that we know that the United States is 2,500 miles across, I think is out of their mind. It could be 2,200 miles across. The equator could be 20,000 miles. I don't think anybody would know it. There's no way you would know it. Because planes across water, planes know when they're getting there. They're trying to aim for arrival time. It's all computerized. You would just have no clue. But I think people are so conceited that they think people were out in the ocean with chains measuring distances, and it's just not the way it works. And then they were talking about when they used to do these surveys, they would go around, and every time somebody did a survey, like an update, like the WGS 84 and then the ones after it, that there always is corrections that are just because the miles are wrong. Right? There's not like, oh, these guys got it wrong last time. It's just, no, then the new team comes in, they put new numbers in. Then here comes another new team. So the people saying like, you'll never get perfect on your Fitbit. You'll never get perfect on your GPS tracking device. There's a guy who rode his bike something like 70 miles and it came back at 61. And he's like, what's going on? How could that possibly be true? My GPS is 9 miles off. And, people would give him, well, maybe it was you were going a little uphill, maybe. And their excuses are, and I'm sitting there going, no, it's because they've lied to you about mileage. They've had to set it so that it kind of corrects itself. Because I know what we think. Oh, San Francisco is 60 miles from me, so it's exactly 60 miles. And I get in my car and it takes me an hour, and I was going 60 miles per hour, and that just proves it all. But it could have been 53. It could have been 67. You just don't know. All right, let me watch this because I brought it up, and they're just 2 short ones. They're like a minute and a half each. This is part 1. Here we go. You can see it okay? I can't really put a black background on. I just have to deal with it.
Yeah, we see it. Is there supposed to be sound?
All right. Am I reshare with the sound?
Always forget about that.
Well, I didn't need it before, but now I do. Okay.
In a world where we see meteors, what
that sounds like it. A little deeper. All right, here we go.
Is just a single meteor, or what you think is a meteor, and this is usually how you see it go across the sky. Now, let me show you what this truly is that you're seeing. Now, what I'm showing you right here is leaked photos of some government agencies and some of their agents in hazmat suits going out into this field collecting this big wiry-looking ball with a hole in the center of it. Now, what this basically is, this is kind of like a coil, like a heater coil. Coil wire harnesses heat, and that's kind of like what this does right here. It harnesses heat. Now, this little hole that you see in the center of it, I'm going to show you what that's for in a second. But like I said, this wrapped wire harnesses heat, kind of like this right here. Now, this is a car cigarette lighter with a wired coil inside it. And once you plug this in and your negative and your positive connect, it heats that coil up, and you can see you get a red glare, fiery red glare, as you can see here. Okay, now, this wire, that's what this wire does. It heats up. And that fireball that you see flying across the sky, well, it's eventually got to land somewhere, and they've been found all over the place, Australia, Brazil, and everything. So, like I said, that wire ball, it's like a coil. It harnesses the heat. That's the big fireball that you're seeing go across the sky. Now,
can I go to the next one?
Okay.
Don't know why. Here it is. Number 2, part 2. Okay, here we go. And part 2.
Fireball that you see flying across the sky, well, it's eventually got to land somewhere, and they've been found all over the place, Australia, Brazil, and everything. So, like I said, that wire ball, it's like a coil. It harnesses the heat. That's the big fireball that you're seeing go across the sky. Now, the hole that you see in the center of that, right here, as you can see in this photo here, now that's whatever this thing is filled with. I'm not sure what they fill these things with, kind of just like fireworks. And this hole that you're seeing, that's where everything's released from, the gases, the smoke, just like you see right here in this smoke bomb. It looks identical just about. And here's another one here. And like I said, there's all kinds of these things. You guys can look these up. I just put a few in here just to give you an example, give you an idea what these things look like. But anyways, that hole, like I said, releases the gases, chemicals, smoke, whatever is in this thing. That's where it all releases from. And that smoke that you see go across the sky when this thing is flying across the sky, or falling out of the sky, basically, where they're dropping it out of the airplane. But that hose where it's getting its momentum, kind of like a bottle rocket, which all you guys have seen a bottle rocket. Well, same thing. It's got a little hole at the bottom of it, and that's where the flames shoot out at and gives its momentum, and it shoots across the air. And then what happens when it gets up in the air? It pops, of course. Same thing you see here. It's nothing more than just a big fireworks show to deceive you. That's all it is. So the next time you see one of these flying across the sky, just remember, it's just a big.
So it makes more sense to me than, the alternative. I did have this. Let me see if this comes up. This is pretty fun. Maddie, did you know that they say we live on a big ball, a gigantic ball? It's hilarious, right?
That's funny.
Like
the only thing that's weird about that, Jeran,
just water it. What?
The only thing that's weird about that is obviously, this is technology I doubt that they have been using for very long. And, why would they step that up? Why would they start doing that in these days? And I mean, because meteorites have been around forever, right? Or at least so we think.
Well, again, I don't know. I'm having a big problem with believing any of history anymore.
Well, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, when we talk about anything that local and big and landing them, there's no evidence for anything like that. And I totally believe that they would be doing some shicey little grappler conspiracy with that. But there is like crazy light phenomena in the sky, and they're reoccurring and come from the same points of energy. It's all just like the pressure mediation of the system spread out, and we have discharges and stuff, and we perceive.
It's like electrical, because 2 or 3 times when I was a kid, I was probably, I don't know, anywhere between 10 and 14, that my mom would take my sister and I out to, some park where it was super dark at night. We'd get up on the top of our van, and it was always when they would have these meteor showers, and you could hear it. We would be out, and you would see them like one a second, shooting stars. Now, I don't know what they are. I know it's much different than a meteor, but I've never seen a meteor. I've never seen those things. When I look at the craters that they make, it looks to me like it could be blown up from under, right? That's what you would get if you lit a bomb underneath the ground. It would kind of create the same kind of crater.
Well, the Leonids are supposedly meteors, right? Meteor shower.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because Cami and I went out one evening into eastern Colorado where it was really, really dark, and just kind of camped out there during the meteor show. And it was spectacular. It really was. But the thing that blew me away is I had never heard the sound of them so clearly. And the static sound.
The one that makes it to Earth, then? Is that the correct terminology?
I didn't ever see anything hit the ground. And they got bright in some areas, but they didn't explode and set off, car alarms and stuff like that either.
Right. They're going to say that they basically are the same thing, but two of them hit the Earth, right? Well, yeah, you can call them what you want. You would say a meteor shower is still just, I don't know, actually. Maybe, I don't know. But, we went to Red Rock, right? And we saw a meteor, bro, that was so crazy. There's no doubt in my mind it wasn't man-made. It was something that the sky does. It was the most epic thing I've ever seen. So, and then if we see these giant craters but no rocks, and maybe pressure was being mediated and exerted from the Earth at one point in whatever form, even if it was water or whatever it was. Their stories of them landing are all fake, but and of course the stories of what they are in the sky is fake.
Have you seen the one where the lady got hit by one?
No.
I gotta look it up real quick. There's a lady was hit by. I know I stopped. Sharing. Go ahead.
Remember, I'm gonna say because I already researched in my time about meteors, at least the ones that you can see from the car cameras in Russia, or those types of supposedly meteors. First of all, we have companies like Starlé, for example, that you can buy a meteor shower, or I don't know. For $10,000.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
And they use that type of metallic balls that you shown before from these governmental people in Spain going and get up. Then you have this type of metal balls, which are belong to missiles, belong to aircraft that drop in that and things like that. And I have a lot of news and articles talking about that, which is not strange, but they use sometimes they fire things that they left how you say in the air. That is the tank, the fuel container, and that is what is dropped into the ground. And then if you want to go to nature, not to man-made things, you have this we have the globular lightings, and that is an atmospheric phenomenon known from a lot of centuries before in the past. And these globular lightings are like a spherical manifestation of electricity that's going exactly as you see in those video from the Russian cars. And in fact, I have a few videos where you can see, for example, this globular lighting turning right from left, like if somebody is driving via remote control. But it's exactly the same type of things. But remember that we have this type of companies like Ale, Star Ale, that you can order different products, like for example in blue colors, green colors, orange color. They use this it has a name that I don't remember exactly, but they use this technology with you can crush little special crystals that produce that type of special colors. And if you compare that with the videos on the Russian cars, you will see a variety of different colors sometimes. So could be some artificial man-made objects, or could be also a natural manifestation based on electricity. That's my opinion, of course, based on the evidence that I have.
Agreed. And it could be a combo if they make up stories of stuff hitting the ground.
Yeah, nobody ever see. First of all, if you take a look of at what type of altitude, I don't know if you want to, I can share the screen and show what I'm talking about.
Go ahead. You bet. It's your turn.
And Bob, bring up that.
No, because the last time was 1 minute, and then I don't want to.
I know. Blame Jeran. He's hogging the screen share time.
Bob, bring up that. You have that article ready because it's hilarious. There's even a picture. I put the article in the chat there.
Okay.
After yours.
I can open the article if you want.
If you want to order it, yeah, you open it. It's hilarious. There's
okay. Here it is. First of all, I don't know. I am presenting supposedly.
Yeah, you are. Yes.
Okay. This is the article.
Yeah. So there's this lady that had the asteroid come and land on her bed, and they show a picture. If you scroll down, there's actually a picture of the hole in her roof, like it landed in her bed. It's just a hilarious story. So
I'm going to screen capture because they don't allow me, after a few seconds is a champ to pay account in my case. But
that's okay.
This is the supposedly meteor, right?
Yeah. And she said she was laying in bed and heard a huge crash, and then she got up and called 911, and then saw this rock next to her.
Oh, right.
That's what it says. You got to read the article. It's hilarious. And it shows a picture, Bob, of like her roof. And if a rock like that flew through your roof, it's going to fly through your bed. It'll land in bed next to you, like hang out and talk. It's hilarious.
Of course, man, because it's what meteor does. It's laying on your bed and.
Wait, I might be able to save the picture and then send it to you. Save image.
Yeah.
No, why is it hating, man?
Check this out. So this is. I'll put it in the chat. This image.
Okay.
And you can show this hilarious picture. I don't know why I find all these stories just so funny. I mean, it's sad that these guys are just lying like they're constantly, but they have to keep up the stories.
Oh,
yeah, first of all, anything that has a rock shape and material and you found in your home is going to be a meteor. There is no other possibility. Someone dropped it, it fell from, I don't know, military plane, whatever. It's the only thing is a meteor.
How did she survive it? Isn't that where her head was, at the pillow?
Well, I hope not. Maybe she went to the bathroom exactly at that moment.
Says an officer went to the house and he first said that the rock probably originated from a blast from road work at a nearby highway, but the workers had not done any blasting all night. Then the officer took another guess. He says, "I think you have a meteorite in your bed." Wow. Did not sleep the rest of the night. She's retired. She used to be a manager, and it says that meteorites sell sometimes for $4 million. Crazy.
Well, that's
It says
that is the other thing.
In 1982, it says in 1982, a 6-pounder crashed into a house in Westerfield, Connecticut, tore through a second and first floor ceiling, rolled into the living room, and ricocheted through a doorway and into the dining room. Come on.
Whoa, dude, this is a movie. That is a death shot
Unreal.
waiting to happen in that picture right there. Someone's super lucky.
Wow, super lucky.
God, I think
In
you have a
Argentina
meteor in
also-
your bed is a good punchline for a joke, I think.
I think so.
Go ahead, Hero.
No, I'm gonna say that in Argentina, I am showing a TV show in Argentina. It has a few years, but I remember this. What is said in the banner is I trying to find the let me just contrabando. It's smuggling, could be smuggling of meteors, the new fashion, because because the prices, any rock it came from the sky, so the price go really high, and you can sell $10,000 because this rock, without any doubt, that piece of rock, it's a meteor. So you move that in the black market, and it has more value, of course, because it's not regulated and things like that. But I mean, it's completely.
I love how they talk about it too. At the end of this article says, after the researchers were finished studying the meteorite, Mrs. Hamilton said she planned on keeping it since it landed on her property. She suggested she was very lucky. Asked if she bought a lottery ticket the next day, she said no, she had already won the lottery because she has.
Oh my god!
Right.
Now,
Oh,
my
good.
question, real quick. My question is: aren't meteorites supposed to be like real hot? I mean, weren't they like burning up on their way through the atmosphere? That
Yes,
bed
it's-
did not look like it had one singe mark, no nothing. It looked like she just set it there.
Yeah, according to this thing, it says that by the time it reaches the ground, it's cool to the touch. But it's on its way down. Meteorites heat up to 2,000 degrees Celsius, more than 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit, while traveling 50 times the speed of sound, though they appear to be cool to the touch by the time they reach the ground. So that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Wow.
I just can't buy this bullshit.
Oh, okay.
It's like, it's laughable.
For example,
Good.
no, I'm gonna
No,
say,
go
for example, in this video, this is an old video that supposedly a meteor, which was something like this, impact and fell into a building and explode the building, and of course there is no any video, but they prepare all this. Not actor, because it was something for real. I mean, the building was exploding, but this was a military thing. So the what I'm trying to say is like maybe sometimes you can use this as a camouflage when things go wrong with certain experiments or military operations. No, we're gonna blame we're gonna blame a meteor or things like that. That is why at the beginning I say that a lot of these things are man-made object, like this, for example. That this type of things is a missile. This is not Elon Musk rocket, nothing like that. This was a video from 2016 from Miami airport, filming by a military, talking about an operation that they are testing missiles or things like that in the lower atmosphere. And let me just
well, maybe they're practicing for a deception to convince everyone of a crazy big one or something at one point, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can cover up whatever you want.
You know what else that looked like, Hiro? The Norway spiral.
Well, for example, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember. This is the company that I mentioned before. This is Star Ale, It's a real company that you can find even right now online and buy whatever you want. In fact, National Geographic announced that they're gonna use a artificial meteor shower for the Olympic Games in Japan or whatever it said here, because I don't remember exactly the country. They can produce all these type of meteor showers based on the different type of materials. They use this technique called triboluminescence, which is, it came from a special crystals that you can smash and produce like electricity, something like this. Let me just show you very quickly. I'm talking about
we know all about that electricity up there, don't we?
Yeah. No, of course you can produce. This is what they use for producing those meteor shower. I think in English it's called triple fin fourth septum. Unpronounceable for me, but you can see how it glows once you create a special condition. I cannot remember exactly what they this is when you start smashing, you can see the little like lighting that it produces. In this case, it's like in the blue color.
Yeah, like biting a Tic Tac.
Yeah.
Same thing. Bite a Tic Tac, it flashes like that. Yep.
Yeah. But this is the technique that they are using, and then when you drop into the sky, of course, you can have that type of manifestation. And very quickly, let me just...
I wonder if they also use the technique where they create the artificial stars, when they're firing the laser up at the sodium layer, if they're doing any of that as well.
I have something here to at least analyze. But this is I subtitle in English, but this is in Spanish, but I can read it because it came from a journalist. But it said the global lighting is very elusive atmospheric phenomena, and whose origin has not and that in that sense, it belonged to the family of sprites, which we cover a few times. These new discoveries from 20th century. For years, it was thought that it was an invention, because a lot of people in the old times, I talking about 19th century, talk about this, and they draw pictures, things like that, and nobody believe it, because nobody see it. It's very, there is no so often to see these type of things. Of course, in our days, we have a lot of cell phones, cameras in the cars, and we are like 10 times more people looking into our environment than 200 years before. So for years, it was thought that it was an invention of those who swore to haven't seen it. And we had to wait until there is a clear evidence to take this seriously. But this is an example of the globular lighting. So this is a globular lighting, or is a meteor, or is a military operations? Well, it's a mix of all those things. I don't believe that this is a meteor. In fact, when you see it, you can see, first of all, you cannot tell at what altitude or distance this is. Then you not see any, this is supposedly a big size, a big ball of fire, if you want to see it that way, but it just disappeared. There is no any, debris or something like that. You can say, or you can argue, well, when this is smashed with the friction of the atmosphere, supposedly, it breaks in little tiny pieces, so you cannot see from where you are. But at the same time, if that happened, what that means? I mean, this burning stage, it's in the 10 kilometers in the Karma line, supposedly, where all Hollywood tell us that should happen, or this is 30 kilometers or 20 kilometers in the more dense atmosphere layer. What is the altitude when for this burn happen? and then disappear. Even when they disappear, of course, the last light you can see is just is above the, I don't know, 10 kilometers, something like that. It's very difficult to really precise the distance, the size, the altitude. But like the journalist said at the beginning of the article, now in our days, we can evidence this type of phenomena, but it's based on electricity. And here you can have the one who at least appear to have a steering wheel because it's turning and going down.
Wow. Yeah, it hooked a hard right there, didn't it? A hard left.
Wow.
Hard left. But this is a very unique type of phenomena, and it's based on electricity. Coriolis, yeah. And you talk about the star. Well, remember that these guys.
Whoops, you cut out, Uru.
Sorry?
You stopped, your audio stopped.
I'm not sharing the audio. Sorry, I put play because I believe that I share my audio.
Oh, okay, reshare with audio.
Okay, very quickly. Okay. Let me see if now works.
It began when...
It works?
Okay, it works.
Yeah. Okay.
It began when physicist Seth Putterman heard about something that seemed more like magic than science.
And that sound is from the local experiment. It's not something that maybe sounds weird.
Wow,
because
they're
I
using
put
high
some,
frequencies.
No. Super high frequency. Yeah, super high frequency.
Like in the 18 to 20 kilohertz, it sounds like.
It's a process called sonoluminescence. This star in a jar is made when a sound wave is passed through a small bubble inside a flask of liquid. And this sound wave makes the bubble do something remarkable. First it expands, then it collapses. And this collapse happens so violently that vapor molecules trapped inside the bubble slam together and heat up so much that the bubble gives off an incredible burst of heat and light, several thousand times a second, giving the appearance of a star.
It looked like a star in the heavens.
What made the phenomenon so exciting was the temperature of this star in a jar. On its surface alone, the light burns at tens of thousands of degrees. And Seth Putterman now contemplated a tantalizing possibility.
Well, that is the, transform sound into light. And of course, we have a lot of reference in terms of the creation based on the, at the beginning was the word and there was with God and blah, blah, blah. So,
it's definitely about sonoluminescence. The only thing that really puzzled me about that era is they talk about how hot it gets in those things. And it's like,
I know that.
The water would boil or something would happen, a little different, but it doesn't appear to be doing
make that up. How they measured that? They made that up because it has to be like that in the heliocentric fairy tale.
Completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree. It's
I've
very
been
difficult
looking
to
into
measure
this,
that.
to do this, and the inflation that has occurred over the last 6 months has cost it to go from $380 to do it to $440 now.
Yikes.
Wow. So like
the same site, the price has changed that much in the last couple months.
That's crazy, bro. They do not want you to realize. But the question is, what we want to know as truthers is, what is the source of that audio? If you right, what's
exactly?
And that's like a real truther pursuit. And to those that may be listening that haven't accepted this truth about the Earth yet, we're just inviting you, on the journey to that.
Because it's likely a lot more than just a single frequency, right? It's got to be, it's probably a harmonic accord of frequencies, if you will, that will produce multiple waveforms that actually cymatically interact with each other. And if you guys have ever seen some of the very first cymatic experiments where they use Lyco powder and they can actually generate what looks like complete circulatory systems in animals and stuff like that, that's how those are created. But of course, the key is understanding not only the frequency, but the waveform and the harmonics that occur in between the waveforms to create all those complex patterns. And you're right. So that goes back to, Genesis with God speaking things into existence. I mean, that's a perfect metaphor for it.
And even Edwin Hubble himself acknowledged that actually the medium could be much more dense and everything in the sky would be smaller, more local, and the Earth would, of course, be much younger. Mm-hmm. Even Edwin Hubble said that. So.
Yep. Pretty cool.
So, yeah. And I don't know, but I won't just, go back, at the beginning of the show, but because for me it's a little funny, but when we start talking about Jupiter and that the guy who want to go fake the images and things like that, I remember the own NASA in this special Hubble universe saying and laughing in your face about this. It's only 2-minute video.
We released this image showing you how the Great Red Spot has changed from 1992. It was 1999 when this image was released. And it's sort of an artistic presentation of the images. Oh, actually, it's a cheat, because the image of Jupiter in the background isn't a full image. It's actually got a huge chunk cut out of it. So the reason why we had this beautiful artistic foray of the Great Red Spot was just actually to cover up the fact that we didn't have a full image of Jupiter.
Oh, wow.
And that is from NASA directly. So, I mean, in your face. And then I really like this, trying to give my opinion about when sometimes people say that is CGI planet or telescope came with CGI, devices. That the thing is that I saw Jupiter in the sky with my P900 and with telescope from a friend, and you can see Saturn with the rings, and you can I didn't see Mars yet, but I mean you see the object in the sky, and you can see these two in black and white bands of different gradient in terms of the intensity of quote unquote color, because it's a gradient of gray. But the fact is that at least a lot of astronomers, particularly the ones with a really professional but small in comparison with the institutional telescopes, they use software to calibrate. And it doesn't matter if it comes inside in the own telescope or not. I mean, you are going to process the images. The software knows, because you need to put what type of planet are you going to process. So it has like the database where, okay, the user is telling me that I need to process Jupiter, for example. So the software requires that you mark certain features, for example, in this case of Jupiter. And based on all that stuff, when the software starts to for example, give sharpen and things like that, is going to intervene as the programmers of the software put together. And you're going to have, that type of images based on the already, pre-program behavior. I don't know if you...
No, I know exactly what you're saying. It's you're basically getting the attributes correct for the planet, and it'd be funny to see what would happen if you put those attributes like for Jupiter on Mars. See how bad it would screw it up.
Yes, exactly. But if not, you're gonna see something like that. You can see even the quote unquote moons, because I don't know exactly what it is. This is with the P900. But that doesn't mean that we live in a spherical heliocentric model, of course. And remember that, for example, this is a little funny, but this picture, I don't know if you know the history about this, but this is like the first picture of Mars, drawing inside of NASA GPL, based on the incredible true story of how a team of scientists compiled the first image of Mars, one tiny piece at a time. And supposedly the story behind is that they receive from the rover, from the spacecraft, they receive a lot of numbers and they print those numbers, and they decide like, okay, if the number is 25 to 20, we can painting with this type of yellow. This is going to be the type of green color, brown color, red color, whatever. This is the age of the frame, of course. And they start painting, because they are so ancient, like they cannot wait to supposedly the spacecraft send the actual picture. So they download the numbers and they start painting. These little things are numbers, just numbers. And they say, oh, number 25, give me that cream, and start painting like this. Why I show this? Because these guys are, painting, and now it's CGI, but they use the same type of tactics. They just convert numbers into whatever they want. And that's all. For me, at least, when you understand a little bit things about how they operate with software, you cannot trust anymore of the official images. This is, for example, random guy in internet showing how they combine Photoshop with Registax to, process things like you film here on Earth. Of course, everything is black and white, and then, you're gonna, like I mentioned before, you're gonna tell this type of software, and this is 2012. This is not even in our days, but you put there and you process all the qualities, you give all the images, you tell what you're going to do and things like that. And, after a couple of minutes, and you by hand put this feature, these points, and blah, 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 you finish with a computer interpretation of what you are presenting there.
Right. That looks suspiciously a lot like NASA stuff, right?
So, well, yeah, we can talk with the programmers of this software.
Yeah.
And there you have it. Mom, look, I take a picture of Jupiter.
Yeah. And people do this. They do, before the biggest thing was to do like image stacking. And of course they would stack images, and everybody would tweak on it so that they would, get it to look like what NASA gets it to look like. That's what everybody's, because obviously they've got the best telescopes, right? So,
yes.
They'll sit there and tweak on it like that. But what we found, especially with the advent of digital photography, is that the digital cameras, a lot of times, yes, there is something that is called blooming that definitely takes an image and takes it out of focus. But the one thing that I think is most prevalent, that is amazing about the digital cameras, is that they seem to lock down and get into the cymatic patterns of the stars themselves. And what's interesting about it is it doesn't vary from camera to camera or from star to star. It does, but it does so in the same way. In other words, if I took a picture of Sirius with my P1000, right, and then Jeran did the same thing with his P900, we would see a very similar cymatic pattern appear, right? Which you don't see at all through an analog telescope. So yeah, this is of course giving us all these hints about the energy that's going on out there in the cosmos and what that's all about. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah, and in fact, for example, this supposedly rotation of Jupiter, when the guy asked, wow, that looks impressive how you did it for in only 3 nights, take the planet spin, and the guy say, no, I did just like a big picture, and I wrap around a 3D sphere.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that you have the same behavior, or the people that process the images, use 3D software, things like that, and they put online as something for real, as you can see on nature and blah blah blah, and it's not. It's not.
Like if you looked in the sky as a limited observer from the Earth into a more dense fluid medium, where vibration was causing what you perceive to be light, what would you see? If you can take a bottle, like a plastic bottle, cut it in half, wrap some plastic over it, take a little piece of a mirror, put it on the outside, hit it with a laser, project it somewhere, and you will see, based on the frequencies, your perception of the light will change. And at these beautiful resonances, you get perfect circles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the frequency wants to do. So that's what you would see. What we see is what you would see.
Yeah, and this is, for example, 1881 picture of a galaxy, and in our days it's like this. What I'm trying to say is that, again, I don't deny what I can see with my eyes, but that doesn't mean that the Earth isn't flat, because you can see these manifestations up in somewhere, because we don't know exactly what it is, what it happened. And remember that the astronomical unit was invented by the Maximilian Hale Jesuit, and from that invention, they give the measurements to the universe based on the Luciferian travel light capability in the vacuum of space. But there is things up there, of course. We don't deny that, but nobody knows exactly what it is and how it's formed, and nothing. I mean, they are just getting better in terms of the Arctic's depictions.
Oh, absolutely. I can take with my Meade LX 200. I can take a picture on the left, and that's what it looks like through the eyepiece, just a black and white piece, and then whoops, you switch. But the image on the right, you take several images, stack them, use RGB filtering, and then stack them. Bada bing, now you have color. But that's, again, that's an enhanced footage. So, all right. So,
nothing more. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, you stop sharing, and I'm going to reshare my screen.
Let me see. I don't found the. Okay. And yes.
Okay, cool.
Done.
So, we've gone almost an hour and 20 minutes in. We have a ton of stuff yet to cover. One of the things that I want to cover, of course, since the name of the show is Understanding Our Skies, we're going to be talking about this Freemason coverage where he draws the disc and, basically how this system works. At least this is his interpretation of it. And then we are going to cover the domed universe and why we are able to see some of the things that we see and the things that we don't see. And just a whole bunch more stuff. I also want to talk a little bit about why the Google Earth actually gives us directions that when we put in 270, ultimately what it ultimately winds up doing, or 090, it winds up pointing to the equator line. Well, why is that? Well, we're going to cover that, why that is, because Jeran figured this out a long time ago, and then I thought about it a little bit more, and the reason that they do that is pretty obvious. I think it'll surprise you. So that's coming up, and we are going to kill the YouTube video now, guys. And if you want, please join us. Please come over and subscribe on the Rockfin side. It's a really great deal if you subscribe on the Rockfin side, no matter what creator you sign up under. If you sign up under Austin or Jeran or Eero or anybody you want to, or Globebusters, you will get all the premium content for free. It's a really super deal. We have tons of flat earthers and truthers that are on that platform. And, we're really liking it because we can actually talk on it. So if you would be so kind to subscribe, we'd certainly appreciate it.
But, what's the worst that could happen? Just go give it a try. It's just $10 a month. And if you enjoy it, keep it. If you don't, do not. But you will find out that a bunch of truthers can freely speak their mind, and you will love it.
That's right. That's right. And I can't imagine being without it because there's so many good content creators on it. So all right, cool. So we are going to end the YouTube stream, and thanks everybody for joining us today. We will be back midweek on Wednesday and start up the Wednesday night shows again, and we will see you then. So Until then, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your minds because there's truth inside. And goodbye, YouTube. Let's see you guys on Wednesday.